So before I show you the script, I need to mention that there is a bug with Bercon maps and 3ds Max. As you can see from the GitHub page, it says Bercon maps crashes on file save when it's applied to a material or a light in the scene, which is not entirely true because it will crash as soon as you create a new Bercon maps. And let me quickly show you what this bug is. So I create a sphere, then I create a V-Ray material, and I apply this material to the sphere and save. As you can see, nothing happens. File is saved properly, but as soon as I create a Bercon noise map and save the scene, you see it's stuck, and now I get an error that says an error has occurred, blah blah blah. No scene changes have occurred since your last save. So the scene is actually being saved, but Max will crash as soon as I press OK. Now if I reopen the scene, you'll see that everything is being saved correctly, and I can actually apply this Bercon maps to my sphere and save the scene again, and everything works fine. So the workaround to avoid crashing is not to create a map, a new map in this method, but simply shift drag the old version, the old map, and now you can apply and create as many maps as you want, save the file, and nothing will happen. But you see, file, save, no problem. But as soon as I do this, general, Bercon noise, apply, file, save, boom, it gets stuck, and I get the error. So the best way I found to deal with the problem and avoid the crashing is to add a sphere to my default startup scene, and that has a material with a Bercon noise assigned. So at this, so with this method, I can just like shift, drag, duplicate, and create as many new Bercon noise and save the scene without the problem of Max crashing. One more thing before I show you my script is I need to give credit, huge credits to Jonathan for writing this amazing script, MaxSQL, that, as he says, provides a unified way to get anything you need from anywhere you want inside 3D Studio Max. And this was perfect because I wanted not only to be able to perform operation on selected objects, but also on selected nodes in the material editor based on my object selection. And this script was perfect for what I wanted to do. And so big credit to Jonathan, and thank you also for showing me how to use the script. I suggest you take a look at this at his page because there are a lot more tools that you can check. So after downloading the files, inside the folder you will find a Bercon noise control macro script and a MaxSQL script, the one that Jonathan wrote. And the first thing you want to do is to copy this MaxSQL script inside the 3D Studio Max script folder. So in this case, I'm using 3D Studio Max 2018. So the folder will be on my C program file, Autodesk 3D Studio Max scripts. So as you can see, I've already copied the script. The second thing you want to do is, in case you're copying this script into a custom location, is simply to open the Bercon noise control macro script in any text editor and point to the correct folder location for the MaxSQL file. Otherwise, the script won't work. So after you've done this, everything is very simple. Just drag and drop this script inside the 3D Studio Max viewport. Then you can simply go to customize user interface, and whether you want to use a keyboard shortcut or a toolbar, just simply go to, for instance, I'm using a toolbar button, so I'm going under toolbars, main UIs, and then you will find Burakumin CGI and BNC. So all I had to do was like drop this new button here, and that's it for the installation process. Another quick thing I forgot to mention is that I've tested the script with Max 2016, 2018, and 2020, and it works in all three versions. So I think it will work in 17 and 19 as well. The only thing you need to do is that if you're using a different version, just remember to point to the correct folder. So if you're using 16, this will be Max 16, and if you're using 19, 17, whatever, just remember to change to the correct location. Okay, so after you install the script, just simply click on the BNC button and this crazy UI will show up, but don't worry about this. This is all very simple, and if you're familiar with Bercon noise maps, you see already that all this is really doing is replicating each and every single one of this value in here. So the way the script works, if I try to change the value now, it's telling me nothing is selected. So all I need to do is select the object or objects that I want to edit, and also select the map or maps that I want to edit. So if I select just one map and change the size, you'll see that the size is changing. I can assign a different fractal type. I can assign different color, and so on for every single value. I can also select all three of the maps and assign a color, or maybe change the noise size to 1. So you'll see now noise size is set to 1 for every map. Or maybe I want the noise type to be Perlin 4D, and now this is assigned to every maps. And that's basically true for each and every one of the values. You can also select all your maps, maybe reset the UI value, and also reset the setting on the actual nodes. And don't worry if you make a mistake, you can simply click undo. For some reason you need to click undo 3 times before it works. But that's pretty much it for this side, sorry, of the UI. So the reason why I built the second part, this left part of the UI, is that because with this method you're basically assigning the same value to all of the maps, which it's almost never what you want to do. So let's fire up VRNX GPU so I can show you what this part of the UI does. So let's reselect all of the maps, select my object, and maybe reset the values. So in the same way it works on this side, but in this case I have random buttons that will randomize value of all the maps based on this range. So in this case, if I set a mean value of 0.1 and a maximum value of 5 and press random size, you'll see that now I have applied a random size to this map of that's 4, this map is going to be 1, and this map is 2.5. I can do this for the low and high clamping. I can do it for both. Noise, fractal, levels, different size on each axis, different phase, spread, offset, and so on. I can randomize both colors to be black and white in, in a range of black and white colors. I can randomize each color separately or both. I can set a range between, let's say, yellow and green for color 1, and a range of red and maybe purple. This guy, and randomize either every single color or both. Or I can, in a more efficient way, select which one of these value I want to randomize with the checkbox and simply press the question mark. Let's maybe reset the colors. And you can see you can generate a lot of different variation very quickly. There is also, as I showed, the reset. This will reset the UI. This will select all the checkboxes or none. You can also, I have some sort of preset like camouflage. I found this value works quite well for camouflage like patterns. Then I have sharp setting with very sharp clamping. And you can see sometimes things kind of breaks because you're maybe plugging in a weird noise inside another one, and also VRNX GPU does not support 2D mapping and distortion. So let's say that maybe 10-20% of the time you get something that is not that useful, but that's part of the deal, considering that you can just simply click again and get something different. There's also blur, more blurry kind of settings, and there's also a feeling lucky, which basically randomize everything. And this is the one that gives less useful results, but sometimes something nice comes out of this. And there is also code settings, and this is actually very, very useful because let's say I reset all of this to be black and white. I delete the connection to the diffuse slot and I create color to bump, plug this in and set it to maybe 0.01, and also let's give some reflection to this object and change the camera. So you can see now if I select these 3 maps, select the coating preset and press randomize, nothing is selected, thank you. Select the sphere and press randomize again, and there you go. Maybe the noise bump is a bit too high, let's say it's 0.03. And you can quickly create a ton of different coating setups, especially if you start randomizing the size. You can get this kind of like elongated noise pattern. Let's try 15 maybe. And if you're not happy, just press this again, reset, and see what else comes up. You can also maybe take this, plug it into the reflection glossiness and see what happens. Come on. Maybe that's too much. So what you can do is probably plug in output in here. Lift the blacks. You see how quickly you can generate something very interesting. So another useful application for the script is with V-Ray dirt maps. So let's fire the IPR, and with dirt maps you always want to avoid repetition and have randomization as much as you can. So with this script you can simply have just 3 Bercon noise map plugged into a radius, and if we check the diffuse filter, I have a sharp preset, maybe with 15 as a maximum size. I can select all my maps, click random, and there you go. But as you can see, I can still see the edge, and that's because my map, uh, my mapping type is set to object XYZ. So at this stage, it doesn't matter if you have 1 or 50 of these maps. You can just simply select all of them, go down to the mapping type, which is 2, because the way that this kind of slider works, they just go from 0 to the number of maximum. So in this case would be 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if you want to set each map to word XYZ, all you need to do is select the maps that you want to affect and set the mapping type to 3. So you see now the noise is it doesn't break, and it goes across the entire object, the entire objects. So we can just like randomize again and see what kind of pattern we can come up with. And this doesn't need to be your final map that you're using. You can generate something that you like and then still go into each map and keep fine tuning to get the desired look. You but power of this script comes from the fact that I can duplicate the 3 maps, plug them into a composite where I am overlaying, or maybe I want to screen it on top, and just simply select all of them. This time we can have a bigger size and randomize. You see, now it's kind of broken, so let's try again. And we can even take it one step further, create new maps, plug it into the map 1 slot, which will be the one that controls the size of the noise. And let's plug this directly into the diffuse so we can see better what's going on. And you can start generating this kind of stuff with basically absolutely no effort whatsoever. It's taking a bit longer when you're like, the more map you randomize, the longer it takes. One thing that can help is maybe disable the rendering preview so that the software doesn't need to update all of those maps. Now, see, still takes a bit longer, but you can create some pretty crazy patterns. The last thing I want to show is a few of these Lego figures that I've generated with the script, and this was just basically maybe 3 to 4 hours of playing with the script and combining different shaders, overlaying, like blending through a noise shader and then maybe some flakes. And yes, this is the kind of stuff that you can generate with the script with very, very little effort. You can use those maps to control forest park objects, tide flow objects, pretty much anything that supports Bercon noise maps. And you can generate all sorts of crazy patterns. You can use them to drive fur, uh, kinks and curves and colors and length, thickness, whatever you can think of, really. You can use them in the displacement map. Everything works as you expect it to. It's just taking away a lot of the time that you will spend in setting up all those values and trial and error. You can just simply click away and see where it goes. And if you want to generate something specific, I've used the script to create the glass shader, the bump on the glass shader for this Heinz bottle of ketchup, and a part of overlaying on top a couple more dirt maps and scratches map that had some more defined and more sharp kind of details that I wanted to. Really, the main body of the shader was the main bump of the shader really took probably a minute because all I had to do is click a few more times, and I found that you basically get so much randomization that you can generate a very convincing shader. So I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial, and I can't wait to see what you guys can come up with using this script.